Dance. Everyone loves to dance, whether it is a child or whether one is grown up. Why dance? Dance is said to be the outward manifestation of man's inner emotion, the emotion of joy, the exuberance of spirits, a spontaneous expression. So when we speak of dance, it is rhythmic movement, because a repeated rhythm gives it a continuation, and then it becomes a sequence, the dance. Dance is said to be movement, and movement the inner urge of man, and dance the fundamental art. A great author writes that during stress or violence there is an instinctive reaction to the arts. The purity of the classical line, the blending of movement and music, and the visual impact of color, costume and scenery all combine to give great harmony and satisfaction, offsetting the harsh realities of modern living. That was a beautiful idea expressed by a great author. So we find that dance is an expression of joy. So when someone is happy, we say we jump with joy. We might have had information of something beautiful, some success in life, and then there is an automatic expression of movement and emotion, and this is, they call it as dance. And then when it is stylized and presented on the stage, it becomes a spectacle for an audience. Dance is the mother of the arts, the first expression of man. Primitive man danced. How? His daily chores. Dance was then representational, sowing, reaping, harvesting. We find that when we speak of representational, it is when the father may be teaching the son through the movement, like hunting. Dancing when they sow, that is, it became a part of education. So dance was education. And then, suppose we were to just review a probable or a selective evolution of dance in the world, we find that dance began, as I said, being representational. It was also part of education. And then it took a more ritualistic value. That is, propitiating the gods, the rain god, the sun god, fire. And so there were little dances. Then dance took on the ritualistic flavor, became a little more religious. Then after this we find dance branching out. That is, on one side we have the folk, and on the other side we have ceremonial dances, little more stylized, and that is during deaths and births, weddings. For everything they danced, mind you. When I say death, they didn't think of it as the soul being lost. They thought the soul had another life. So there was pathos on one side, but on the other side they were creating something else for the soul. So there was all these ritualistic and ceremonial dances, and then the folk dances. On one side, the harvesting, and just the children or anyone, group dancing. Society, where the whole group got together. So again, we come to the very important factor in human life, where people getting together. There was no isolation. They were one. The society was one. There was harmony. So here is dance bringing harmony and peace, which we need today in this world. Then we find dance becoming definitely a ritual. You find that in Africa, you find that in South America, and of course India, I don't have to say it. Then again, you must remember that folk continues along with this development of the dance being more and more stylized in presentation. And then in the West, we have the ballet on one side and the folk on the other. And along with ballet, we have the social dances also, like the waltz. And then in the East, and India in particular, we have the 6 styles of dance: Manipuri, Kathak, Odissi, Kathakali, Bharatnatyam and Kuchipudi. The classical styles, the highly developed classical styles on one side, and then the folk. Now I keep repeating the folk because the folk and the classical are running parallel constantly. There is exchange of movement, yes. The classical does take a few folk movements, but the folk is there. And the folk is very beautiful because when we go through some of our very, very old folk songs and dances, we find that they are teaching various things: social life, customs, hereditary part of society, through the folk songs and dances. And they dance it. And they still exist today in all parts of the country. In India, dance has always been part of religion, part of the temple. The temple was the fulcrum around which the entire social life revolved. So it was not just festivals alone, but people met at every stage, and dance was also part of it. It was also part of ritual, an offering to the god, one of the 64 offerings. Like all other fine arts, dance was also an offering to the god. The classical styles have a unity, yes, that strings all these styles together. But at the same time, each style has its own distinct regional flavor. The nritta, or the pure dance, gives us the difference in the styles. But some of the gestures may be common to all the styles of dance. Another point we must remember is that the classical styles or the dance in India is so shrouded in the mists of antiquity that it is very difficult to give or fix the probable dates of many artistic events. We can only give very approximate dates. And speaking of that, dance has been referred to in the Rig Veda. How would you place the Vedas? Veda has been called as Aparusheya, no author. That means it was revealed, divine. And in the Rig Veda, there is one, there are many, but let me tell you one or two examples, where it says, Prancho Agama Nrityaye. Prancho means the elders, the rishis, went to a dance performance after their yajna. Now if that is so, you can imagine how highly stylized and developed, that high degree of development, the subtlety and the beauty of the dance at that time itself. We can safely conclude on that line. Another beautiful line is how Usha, the morning, she bursts into a dance. The dawn, you see, is a dance itself of Usha. The beautiful references like this we find in the Vedas. Then after the Vedas you have the Brahmanas. Then of course in Panini grammar, dance is mentioned. Panini mentions Shilali and different names of, that is, great sutras being available. Then we come on to the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. And Mahabharata, all of us know, Arjuna learned dance from the Apsaras, and because he had to take the role of Brihannala. And dance was so much part of all our literature, all our mythology, all our arts, of course. Then after the Mahabharata, we have famous Kalidasa, Malavika Agnimitra. Now Kalidasa says, people have varied tastes. Loko bhinna ruchi. But the audience come together under one roof to watch an artistic production. Then we come to the Natya Shastra. All of us know about it. The greatest text ever written, a compendium of every movement possible. The theatre, the measurement of the stage, what kind of a stage we should have, the various kinds. Natya Shastra mentions a square, a triangle, and a circle, a rectangle. And what kind of an audience, how the dancer should be, how the character should be. And every movement has been described. The Natya, when one goes through the leaves of the Natya Shastra, one finds that the dance has been an entertainment for the gods, but to man it is his offering to the gods. Every position, every hand gesture has been so correctly laid down that the dancer has very little chance to change the hand gestures. The only place where the artist can show his or her talent is improvisation. When relating or depicting stories, emotions. Natya Shastra is said to have been written by sage Bharata. Whether Bharata was one person, one rishi, one author, or there were many, whether it was a pen name, we do not know. And the probable date, historians have said, could be 200 BC, even 600 BC, some have said, or 200 AD. Whatever, it is a great work that we have today. Some verses may have been lost, some may have been added, but still we have an idea, we get an idea how ancient dance is in India. And after the Natya Shastra, we have many, many works. The commentary of Abhinaya Gupta, and many beautiful works, right up to the 17th century. After that, there seems to have been a little lull in the production of books, or in writing for that matter. Maybe there were wars, we do not know. Of course there were one or two stray works maybe, but not as much as we have had up to the 17th century. Now the Natya Shastra, at every stage, after every chapter, Bharata says, so much I have given you, but there is so much more which is left to the artist, because dance is visual, it is momentary. So an artist might improvise on the stage. And the time also is an important factor, because the people are watching you. So for that moment, the artist may have to do something new, to show something. So he says improvisation. He mentions it at every stage. He does not say that we should very carefully follow word for word. Another idea he gives, which will be very essential today for us, is that when an artist is on the stage, he or she has to be very careful about presentation. And he lays down rules as what one should not do. That is, a dancer or an artist should not lie down on the stage, should not show all the teeth, should not show too much pathos, too much of crying or weeping, shouldn't show any vulgar movements. Like this, he goes on. And the reason he gives why an artist should follow all this very meticulously is that the audience consists of the father, the mother, the sons, daughters-in-law, daughters, sons-in-law, and children. All of them are watching together. And what is dance but an enjoyment? So, he says we have to be careful. Dignity, decorum has to be maintained. And why does one dance? What is so important about the dance? There he gives one of the most beautiful verses ever. Dharmyam yashasyam ayushyam hitam buddhi vivardhanam lokopadesha jananam natyametad bhavishyati natat jnanam natat shilpam nasa vidya nasa kala nasau yogo natat karma natyesmin yenna drishyate natyakhyam panchamam vedam sayitihasam karomyaham. The dance, that which gives dharma, virtue, life, fame, does good, improves the intellect. There is no other way of education, method of education, sculpturous representation or supreme knowledge. No yoga or karma, it is action. That is not seen in the dance. In fact, it is called the fifth Veda. That was beautiful. It is no wonder then dance is such a great art. And Bharatanatyam is one, as I've said, one of the styles in India. Bharatanatyam might be an acronym. Bhava Raga Thala, Bharata. Or it could be the dance. I wouldn't say as laid down by Bharata, but some of the principles that we find in Natya Shastra, we find in the Bharatanatyam. Originally, this dance form was called by various names, like Kuthu, Shilambam, Sadir. But today, the very word Bharatanatyam brings to mind that classical style prevalent in Tamil Nadu. It is so highly stylized and the gesture language so complex and complete that a Bharatanatyam recital is not only a feast for the eyes, but also joy. It gives satisfaction, a sense of satisfaction to the soul. Many years ago, it was performed in the temples during maybe the flag hoisting ceremony. But the dance was ritualistic, like the Navasandhi. The Navasandhi is in praise of the gods of the 8 directions, with the center, the creator Brahma. Then east, west, north, south, and southeast, southwest, and so on. So you have Navasandhi. Usually this was performed during very big yajna, where they call it as Ashtadigbandhanam, where all the directions were closed in. In other words, protection. And actually Bharata at every stage maintains all these little rituals so that outside forces, evil forces, do not harm the performance. That is, when a performance is in progress, and no accidents should happen. So they have all these little rituals, and even the temples. So we find dance as part of ritual, and it is only in maybe the past 60-70 years that Bharatanatyam has come on to the stage, because Actually, in 1948, it was abolished from the temples. And the sabhas, or organizations, have taken over. And they present these performances for entertainment. Let me hasten to add that Bharatanatyam was not just ritualistic, it was also entertainment. People watched it. But now the ritualistic aspect is not too much. We are trying to bring it back, but it is not there. Now dance has become part of entertainment, as part of the projection of Indian culture to the West. It's a very popular art. And now it has become a fashion, I would say, that every child should learn Bharatanatyam. That is something beautiful. So, let me tell you something about this art before we see what it can do for everybody. Bharatanatyam is divided into Nritya, or pure dance, and Nritya, dance with the gestures. Nritya is a training of pure dance. That is, all the children have to go through this drill. It is very important. And in Bharatanatyam, they are called as adavus. And on auspicious day, a young child has her waist tied. You might ask why. Firstly, to keep posture, which is so important in dance, and also to keep all the organs in position. And of course, all of us would like a very trim waist. So the stomach is tied. And then the child begins. The first adavu, that is the A in the alphabet, is called the Tat adavu. You will see that in demonstration of few of the adavus as they are taught in classes. It might take a few years to master these adavus. Now each adavu consists of a basic stance or a position, a decorative hand gesture, and then movement of the hands and feet. Hastakshetra, the position of the hand during the execution of the movement. Now, when I say hand gesture, you might wonder what it is. Natya Shastra speaks of 24 single hand gestures, then double hand gestures. There are many texts, but most of the dancers today use the Abhinaya Darpana of Nandikesvara. Nandikesvara is supposed to be, some say he's a disciple of Bharata, some say he's a son of Bharata, whatever. Abhinaya Darpana speaks of 28 single hand gestures and 23 double hand gestures. You will hear that in recitation in Sanskrit. But for example, the very first hand gesture of the single hand gesture is pataka. In the first adavu, we use the word hand gesture pataka. Now this means nothing. It's just decorative. Like this, we have many hand gestures that we use in dance, in nritya. They don't convey any meaning, but are beautiful to look at. We are still in the realm of pure dance. Then we come to nritya. You have just seen a demonstration of the adavus. Now we go on to nritya, that is dance with gestures. What do they do? Actually, some of the gestures are universal. We don't need any language. You'll be surprised. So we find, even suppose we were to leave children from different parts of the world together, somehow they will converse. Somehow they will make themselves understood. And what is that? The language of the gestures. Now these gestures, when stylized and presented on the stage, becomes dance, and that is Bharatanatyam, and that is what Bharatanatyam is known for. Maybe if I show you a few hand gestures, you'll understand how universal some of them are. Let us take the first one, the pataka. Pataka means flag. The very word pataka means the flag. Come, go, here, there, give, no, sky, sweep, touch. Like this it goes on. Now I am just giving you examples, but let me tell you that all these usages are given in Sanskrit also in the text. It's amazing. Then let us take another one. Now what I've shown you was stylized, so we use it every day. Give, no, there, here, come here. Now in dance it will be come, here, no. Ala Padma, this is another hand gesture, fully bloomed lotus. A vessel, to denote a vessel. A fruit, giving. No. Where? Sun, city, face, beautiful, and so on. Hamsasya, swan, time, at that time, or at this time. Writing, pen. This is also the chin mudra. You find it in the statues of Buddha. All the great philosophers. The chin mudra. Pick up. Smell. And so on. Let us take a few double hand gestures. Anjali, salutation, greeting, equals, gods, the gods above the head, preceptors, the teachers, forehead, equals, and of course the universal greeting, all of us. Now it is not just Indian way of salutation or receiving or greeting, it is universal. This hand gesture is universal. That is two hands folded. Two hands folded to greet. It can denote many things. Many things have been written. Humility, inner satisfaction and inner peace. This hand gesture actually we can write article after article about the Anjali. Kapota. Kapota means a dove. Now look, secret. Fear. Suppose I were to say I have something. Now when we show the pranks of Krishna, we say, you're teasing. Now for some, I don't even have to say a word. It can come through the gestures. Like this, we can go on and on and on. A parrot. A fruit to a parrot. Sending a message, or a pet parrot, letting it fly around. Now, we can show anything through the gestures. A deer, a cow, lion. Now, with this hand gestures, you find that I have been making use of my face and my eyes. Now, the Natya Shastra and Abhinaya Darpana, most of the texts speak of so many number of eye movements, neck movements, the head movements, movements of the shoulders, the stomach, the thighs, and so on. You will see a few of them in demonstration. Now, the face has to coordinate, or it does automatically, with the gestures to convey ideas, emotions. But it is the eye, or the eyes for that matter, that express the emotion. The eyes are called as the mirrors of the soul. And Natya Shastra speaks of 8 rasas actually, and the 9th one, that is the Shanta, has been added. Maybe later, maybe during the time of Buddha. Love or Sringara is said to be the most dominant rasa around which all the other rasas or emotions evolve. Now rasa, I have used the word rasa. A crude translation means the flavor. Flavor. Unless you taste it, how would you know that sugar is sweet? And rasa comes out, when is it created? Actually, many books have been written on the rasa. Rasa comes after bhava. Bhava is what you think of, the emotion that is created in the mind. And when I express it, the audience reacts and a rasa is created. Let me tell you that the artist might be showing a scene which was sad, or a scene that was showing sort of a ridiculous situation, clownish. The audience might laugh at it. The audience might weep with the artist. But all this leads only to joy or enjoyment, because it is not actually happening. It is only a situation created on the stage. So whether the weeping or the laughing or the crying, everything is part of enjoyment. So dance is the medium to convey joy or the higher emotion. And Sringara or love is the main or dominant rasa. Another author, Bhavabhuti, speaks of karuna, compassion, as the dominant rasa. But all of us have accepted of Sringara, that is Vipralamba Sringara, love in separation. That has the rasa. That is the excitement. Sambhoga Shringara, we all know it. When the hero and the heroine come together, well, where is the rasa? They're all happy and fine. All ends well. But it is the Vipralamba Shringara, when the hero or the heroine is not there, or the heroine is pining for her lord. That is the interesting Shringara which all of us love. The audience loves it, the dancer loves it, poets have sung about it. And we have the Ashtanayika, the 8 heroines. The Nayika who waits, all decorated, waits for her lover. Or the Nayika who's very bold, who runs. She doesn't care whether it is raining or whether it is very sunny or whether it's a forest, the Avisarika. Then there is the Nayika who has said goodbye to her lover, who will come back, yes, but he's not there at the moment, so she's pining, and like this it goes on. Now all this comes out of the Navarasas, Shringara, love of the lady towards her lover. Wonder, Adbhuta, fear, courage, Veera, anger, disgust, ridicule, hasya, compassion, karuna, peace, Shanta. Very broadly, these are the Navarasas. And in the Shringara you have Vatsalya Bhava, the love of the mother towards her child. That's called Vatsalya. The love between brothers, love between sisters, love of the brother towards his sister, the love of husband and wife, love of friends, but the love of the heroine for her lord. Here it is spoken of as love of the Atma for the Paramatma. So we have the bridal mysticism, the Sufi poets, and the Bhakti movement in India, where we have the Gita Govinda, where the soul is the main thing, and the love of the soul for the Paramatma, the Atma-Paramatma relationship. Now, we have all those gestures, the emotions. You might wonder whether we need to dance only to a particular song, in a particular language, or whether all the songs are in praise of the deities. Let me add something interesting here. At every stage we find that all the deities have danced. Shiva, Vishnu, you have the Vishnu Dharmotram, Shiva of course, cosmic dancer. Vinayaka has danced, Muruga has danced. Of course Devi, Durga, Lakshmi, Parameshwari, Shakti. Why the very creation is the dance of the Supreme? Because of the rhythm. It is because of rhythm that is innate in man, not only in man, in all creation. The seasons are rhythmical. The pattern of the rain is rhythmical. Everything is revolving around a particular rhythm, the rhythm of the universe, the eternal. That itself is God. What is God? I don't think any of us have seen God. It is the rhythm, and rhythm is the basis of dance. There can be no dance without rhythm. And so dance is so much part of not only human, but also the gods, the divine. So that is where we, man being rational, constantly trying to reach the divine. And it is not surprising that he can reach the divine through dance and music. Maybe that is why in India we find that the fine arts, the dance and music, everything is attributed to the gods. All the great temple sculptures are attributed to the various movements, the various emotions. All the emotions have been frozen in stone. That is the only way we can get an idea of how dance has developed, because dance, as I told you, is momentary. The manuscripts are there, the paintings are there, the frescoes are there, the sculptures are there. But how do we know how dance has developed? There is another way. The ear and the word tradition, the Guru Shishya Parampara, the father to son, the teacher to pupil, generation after generation, as it were, constantly embellishing and innovating. So we have that tradition also. The Vedas, I don't think anyone read it off the books. It was all taught. The Karna Parampara, as it is called. So how great is our art of dance? The gestures rise above language, religion, race, creed, caste. Doesn't require any kind of writing. Let me give you an example. In this beautiful garden, there is a tank. The water is flowing. The fishes are leaping. The lotus is blooming. There are trees. With buds and flowers, fragrance, creepers, the breeze gently blowing, the birds are singing. Everybody is happy. But I am alone. My Lord hasn't come. This is only an improvisational situation, but anything can be translated into the language of the gestures. And all this is possible because of the beautiful use of the face, the hands, and the whole body, and of course, the mind, the heart. It is no use my doing the gestures when my mind is not there. It doesn't convey. So the Abhinaya Darpana speaks of where the hand movements go. The eyes move with it. And where the eyes go, the mind goes with it. And then the rasa is created. These hand gestures have been referred to as the hastas in the Natya Shastra. Some speak of mudras, some speak of hasta mudras. Mudra. Mudam dadati iti mudra. That which gives joy is a mudra. The mudra can be the seal. Mudra means a seal. Now these gestures, hand gestures, are also called hasta mudras because they convey something beautiful. And speaking of mudras, in the tantric philosophy in India, we have the yantras, each one with a chakra, the Shakti chakra. Now each one is a mudra. And I would like to share with you a symbol which all of us love. As I mentioned before, Nataraja, the very word, Nataraja, the Lord of Dance, he is considered as the cosmic dancer, Shiva. The world is supposed to be his creation through the dance. And the Nadanta pose of Shiva, where Shiva lifts one foot. They say is about 6th century. But all of us are aware of the phallic symbol, the linga, the Shiva linga. This Nadanta pose of Shiva is called the Ananda Tandava, wherein it is the dance of joy. We have it in bronzes. Philosophers have extolled Shiva. Poets have written poets about him. And of course dancers adore him. Everyone, all mankind, adores Shiva, the Nataraja. And the statue of Shiva, when you look at the bronze, you have the Prabhavali, the right foot on the demon, the left foot lifted, one hand, Abhaya Hasta, do not be afraid, and here I am. Now I would like to share with you this great symbol and what it means to me and what it can mean to you. That is a triangle. That is another triangle. Now this figure looks like a star. It can also be the Star of David, the symbol of Israel. Om Namah Shivaya. And it can be referred to as a chakra of Shatkona chakra. That is a chakra with 6 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see that? This, the Abhaya Hasta, the Pataka Hasta actually here, you should be able to recognize it now. Here I am, do not be afraid. This hand gesture denotes that. This leg is lifted to show the path to salvation. The right leg is suppressed on the demon, that is, suppression of evil. Evil can never be destroyed from the universe. It is the negative and the positive constantly moving together, juxtaposed. Evil can only be suppressed. Then the half moon, the height of intelligence, life-giving water, fire, one of the elements, also denoting to destroy, but also to show light. Damaru, the eternal rhythm of the universe. The fluttering veil, to denote maybe removal of illusion. Snake, representing the symbol of life, breath. The snake has always been an ancient fertility symbol. Now, we have the 5 elements. Muyalagan, the demon representing earth, water, fire, air, and the entire creation is cyclic, vibrant. There's no beginning and no end. That denotes ether, the 5th element. This is the Prabhavali. You see this? How each one means. The rest is for your imagination. You can draw on this triangle, this triangle, this triangle, and so on, each one giving a great philosophical thought. This is a mudra. If dance creates joy, then dance today is very necessary in our society. That which gives happiness. The very dance gives positive vibrations, vibrations of joy. That is the reason why everybody enjoys a dance performance. And after so much about the glamour and the stage representation of dance, what can dance do to the physical body so that our mental state becomes more and more evolved? We have tried what we call, or we refer to as the therapeutic value of dance, because every part of the body, the movements are prescribed in the text. So by giving them exercises, we find we can overcome small minor defects, eye defects, small pains and aches in the neck, and the posture improved gives us better health, better walking, because the dancer is said to be the most coordinated person, because every part of her body is working, and mentally also she has to be very alert. And so some of the exercises that we train our children for the performance is also useful for those who don't need to be stage performers as such, but want to maintain good health, which is very important for our future generation. Then dance to teach others is also important. So a dancer, very few are performers, but everyone should learn dancing, whether a child or an older person. because it gives a sense of well-being, a sense of shanti or peace. Once, it seems, Buddha, when he was preaching to his disciples, was speaking of the life here, he was giving the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And one of the disciples stood up and said, "Master, you have told us about the Four Noble Truths and what we should do. You have spoken of the soul, but you have not said about anything of life hereafter, of what happens to the soul. What is death? And what happens after that?" Then Buddha smiled. He was sitting under the peepal tree. He looked up, he plucked a few leaves, threw it in front of his disciples. He said, "What I have taught you is this. What you have to learn is that." That is the greatness of the dance. After that, then Buddha smiled. He was sitting under the peepal tree. He looked up, he plucked a few leaves, threw it in front of his disciples. He said, "What I have taught you is this. What you have to learn is that." That is the greatness of the dance.